Seriously? Like, what the actual fuck? That's all I have to say this morning, actually. I don't know. Coffee. Some people say coffee is bad for you, and actually it's not true. If you get the right coffee, it's actually very good for you just to have one cup of coffee, and I don't mean instant. That's your MPC coffee. Anyway, I don't know about any of you. It depends, I suppose, on where you're at in your journey, But for those of us who have burrowed deep into the waters of our own consciousness, i.e. doing the fucking work, the last week has just been... There is no language for any of this anymore, truly. I've said it before. I've said this quite a few times, I think, in the last year, that there is no language for any of this anymore. There just isn't. There just is no fucking language. And that is done on purpose. Because everything is contrived and fucking manufactured. And I just know this video is going to be really ranty. And like the false light AI program says that my spiritual people don't fucking swear. Oh God. But that's just, I need to swear, we have to swear, it's cathartic, it's part of it, the word fuck, yeah, fuck. You know, I mean, saying things like holy mackerel just won't fucking do it, it just won't do, it won't do, yeah. I'm just sitting here and I'm like, wow. Yesterday, it was one siren after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, ad nauseam. The energies, I mean, this is beyond demonic, beyond satanic. I have never ever felt this. This is, well, I have felt it, yes, but I've never felt it. This, it's like, let's say you have a bottle full of poison, and you get to the very, very bottom of that bottle, and it's all the sedimentary type, you know, so it's extra thick poison. In terms of how I've been feeling in my body, it's very Kundalini-esque. I don't tend to think in terms of the false light, artificial intelligence, stupidity ways. I don't, because it's all hacked. It's none of it is right. I mean, like, you get a little bit of truth here and a little bit of truth there, and the Maverick effect guides me through this realm by I look through and I get the truths out of the lies, if you know what I mean, yeah? Because the lies are just humongous and they serve to keep everybody stuck. The name of the game being, there is no such thing as the hell contagion, right? Carl Jung calls it the shadow, but I think the hell contagion is far more apt. And they just want you to think. Evil wants to hide, evil wants to keep existing. And so you get all these spiritual gurus and teachers and leaders and this and that. All these people that claim to have had NDEs, you know, and they're guiding, and it's this and it's that, and oh yeah, that's happening, and this is the prediction and blah. But it never addresses the elephant in the living room, which is your hell contagion consciousness. It never ever does. Which is, well, par for the course, because it wants to live. And on the external plane, artificial intelligence wants to live. We have, I can't say individuals, I don't even want to, we have a being standing in a room an oval room, let's say, in a white building with a rubber mask on, very clearly, talking about the DOGE. Now, I'm not political in any way. I don't give a fuck about any of it. If anything, I have very strong anarchistic leanings, meaning that I don't believe in the system, the government, because it's all matrix and it's all fucking evil and it's all contrived Hegelian dialectic bullshit, which is exactly what is going on right now. And people can't see it. I don't mean to be political, but what I witnessed there was like, whoa. I'm not saying it's good or bad, by the way. I'm just going with what I'm feeling. The flickering light phenomena that is happening across America, England, in fact across the plane, but concentrated in America and Britain. Flickering lights, everywhere, right? Wow. Even here, in this town where I live. The weird fog, we had that here as well, and that was just before the fake holiday season. We had that. It was yellow. It was like, I felt like I was in the trenches and it was mustard gas. It felt like that. I've never seen anything like it. It's like, I know they think that they're draining the swamp, right? It's that whole Q psyop, which was, without any doubt, it was a fucking psyop. And it's so Hegelian dialectic, you see, because the previous administration was so blatantly manufactured. It was made to look so bad and so evil and so just bizarrely evil that of course people were going to bounce off that and vote what we've got now, what's happening now. See, at the beginning of the PSYOP 5 years ago, can you believe it? It's 5 years ago, guys. I mean, those 5 years have gone by like that, literally. Evil has truly revealed itself. I knew this was going to happen because I had a vision and I was told this, and yeah. So, at the beginning of that, here in Britain, we had this Tavistock Institute derivative thing called the Nudge Clinic. It was called the Nudge Clinic, and it was nudging people. It's a behavioural program. It's a behavioural thing, you know, we all know. For any of you who are conspiracy theorists, you know all about that type of thing. And there was a particular creature there. I'm not going to name her because it's just one of those things. I'm just, you know. And her eyes were red, right? She had red eyes, and I'm not talking about, oh, she must have had a bad night's sleep because she cared so much. No, they were fucking red, okay, as in demonic red. Then there was another individual, a British woman politician, of course, whose eyes were also that same colour. Then there was another guy, and interesting, that there is a film, what's it called again? It's about a guy called Klaus von Bülow, who allegedly or possibly did away with his wife. Well, he put her in a coma, but anyway, his lawyer was there as well. And he was ranting and raging with these blood red eyes, you know, vilifying people who wouldn't take the transubstantiation. I mean, you could tell the hate and the rage and the insanity and the demonicness, right? So now, what we have, there is this guy who is strongly linked to certain deep fake rubber mask wearing creatures in a white building, let's say, who's got strong ties to them, who goes on about vaccines that have nanotech in them, that will cure cancer and whatnot, and this, that and the other. And he stood there talking about that, and I'm looking at him, and it's like, oh my goodness. Red eyes. Blood red, livery, blood red eyes. Yeah. And normally I don't focus so much on the external, because I feel strongly that it's about the internal. As in, this whole thing we laughingly refer to as reality, right, is either something that's just happening to us and we have absolutely no power, no control, no input, nothing. I know the way that NPCs talk about it, you know, one life, live it. And if you really, really want something and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it, then you can have it, and that sort of shit. But all they've got is stuff, because they're dead. That they don't, it's not a consciousness really, but it kind of is, because that is what I was shown. I was shown the difference, like night from day, between the consciousness of the light, of love, yes, and the consciousness of the darkness, which is an imposter, a pretender, and it is on the external plane artificial intelligence. That is what it is. But I still feel strongly with all my being that we are the dreamers in the dream. And that yesterday, for example, Monday was as well, what I experienced was a physical type of purge and a consciousness purge of something that is of me but is not of me. A part of my consciousness which has been, I was showing myself in the womb as a developing baby, and that's where it becomes like, it enters you in a way, because that is how you enter this realm, yeah? And it is a type of pathogen that infects consciousness, or at least a part of consciousness. It is self-hatred. It's a feeling of filth and self-hate. And it is basically what the hell contagion is. Now, I know in my last video I talked about, you know, most soul travelers, we are born to often, very often, narcissistic parents who are heavily infected with this hell contagion business, right? They can't get the better of it. It literally overtakes, and they become malevolent individuals, and every now and then you'll get a glimpse of the true individual, who they really are, what they really are, you know, because they are sold. Like my mother was sold, but she was heavily infected with this filth. I mean, there are people who have had half decent childhoods. I am aware of that. There are people who have known love, a measure of love, a measure of safety, a measure of encouragement and support and this and that. But, well, I didn't. And a lot of people I know, and a lot of people I see, and I see how people treat their children, by the way. I see, I witness and I notice. A lot of people don't. Love is a vital ingredient. And I don't mean love as in baby, baby, I love you. But with Valentine's Day coming up, it is putrid garbage that it just makes me want to fucking puke. The utter contrived, manufactured filth that we are given to consume, to distract us and dissociate us from this clearly dystopian horoscope we're in here. What the actual fuck? bit ranty, bit rambly, guys. And I'm so fed up with my channel just being shadow banned and obstructed. Oh boy, this is one thing that I find when you're a soul traveler and when you are a seer of truth. Oh boy, it doesn't like that. It will block you and obstruct you. You know, it's just like the dark trickster. It's nasty. And it wants more than anything for you not to see the light, not to realize that love is real, that you are of love. Because you're powerful. I think we are. I think a real soul traveler is it's like a Jedi in a way. We often come from lineages that have abilities and so forth and so on. And I think we have abilities, we have power, and the dark side wants to use that power, and it wants to keep using that power. You see? I think that's really what it's all about. What's happening on the external plane now? Oh, here we go again. I was just about to say that, and I'm not going to. Ha ha. It is about compassionate neutrality, right? Because the minute you start to give in to the hate, the rage, the fear, terror, the grief, I call this despair grief, they are my loved one that I lost is lost to me forever, that sort of shit. That's wrong, that's toxic grief, that's not helpful. Because it's based on the well, evil always wins, there's nothing you can do, and blah blah blah. That's very difficult, but compassionate neutrality. Observe, see, hear, feel, know. Much, and I mean much, is being revealed here, people. A lot is being revealed, right? A lot. Always keep in mind the Hegelian dialectic that is, as it were, the ultimate operating system of this insanity, right? They're very clever. They'll bait you with a little bit of, you know, they'll give you a little bit of, they'll give you some sweeties. Oh, we're cleaning up this, and look what we're doing there, and oh yeah. They'll give you sweeties. And I'm not saying, by the way, I'm not a black and white person. Not at all. I think that's a very dumb way to think. I think it's far more complex than that and far bigger than that. I think that I keep saying I think and I think and I think, and it isn't about thinking so much as it is about feeling. I do realise that. The sickness that creates the dark side of duality has to be purged and cleansed and whatnot, and it does seem to take an awfully long time. And one would think, well, why does it have to be this difficult? But, whoa, these last 5, 6, 7 days have been a major purge, a major cleanse, a major transmutation, deeper than ever before. And I've noticed before how when that takes place, these deep transmutations, that it's mirrored on the external. So what it is, the external, one day, it is not the next. It shifts according to my consciousness. It is that way. And I've noticed this over the years more and more. But, and compassionate neutrality doesn't mean that you're devoid of emotion, because you won't be. You'll feel all the emotions and programs and insanity. You will feel that malevolent entity inside you. Sometimes it is external, as in its weaponry, and it's like that, right? Sometimes it's your own trauma, it can be that, or it's the consciousness pathogen, which feels, again, very self-attacking. It feels like you're brutalizing yourself, violating yourself. There are different components, and they're muddying the water to make it seem deep. So sometimes this is why Metacognition is so important to be able to step back and observe your own consciousness. What am I thinking? Am I thinking this? Am I thinking these thoughts? If it's attacking, if it's nasty, malevolent, self-defeating, you'll know it. This isn't you. You're not thinking that, even if it's your consciousness, because it's now an imposter consciousness, because it is under the control of something else. You know, and it's no longer your consciousness because of that. And it's based on self-hate, the I'm so worthless, I don't deserve to exist. It is the dirtiest, most filthiest, horrible feeling. It has set the stage for your experience here, for this experience that has molded and sculpted you in every possible way to not see, to not hear, to not feel, and to not know. Automatic, fugue. To mindlessly, gormlessly accept what you are given from the out there. But then you awaken. And how do you awaken when that's all there is? For these people that are filled with rage and can't see through the darkness. And I know what that's like. And I spend times there as well. And I know what that feels like. But you ask yourself, how did I wake up then? What woke me up? Does the dark side support that sort of thing, seeing as it's doing everything it can to remain unseen, because it lives in the peripheral? Yeah? It lives in the peripheral, people. Remember this. Oh, here we go. Watch, observe. It doesn't like being seen. It doesn't like being picked apart. You know, like your soul traveler engineer, spiritual engineer, to get it. But these normies out there, they all think the Saviour has arrived. I'll tell you this now. Somebody who creates Tesla cars is an asshole. Those cars are shit. They cost a shitload of money, but they're shit, right? They catch fire, they blow up, and if you look into where electric car and electric bike for that matter, which I have on, I didn't know this at the time, where these batteries come from, how they're manufactured in Africa, where little children work in these horrible conditions. I mean, it's evil beyond words, all right? So somebody like that, and that's not a human being, because somebody like that, whoever that is, has not got the interest of the light at heart. They don't have a heart. But nothing is what it appears to be. I mean, what is it with planes coming down? The amount of plane accidents, which they're not. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Is that a bit... whatever. I haven't had a shower yet. That's another part of the high strangeness, right? The UFOs, UAPs, the this, the that, the UDR. Have you noticed how there's a lot of footage now doing around, some of it fake, but a lot of it is actually genuine, 100%, where the sky looks like it's been copied and pasted. Or there's this bit of sky which they've glued onto that bit of sky, and they don't match. Because here's a cloud, and then there's a straight line, and then there's half a rainbow, and it Trust me. It's revealing itself, people. I know this beyond any words. It's revealing itself. And I know what we're going through. It's like hell on fucking wheels and then some. I'm reminded, not that I would watch it now, because I wouldn't. I've moved on. I don't really expose myself to things like that anymore. But back in the day when I was watching The Handmaid's Tale, I think it's season 1 or 2, and I mean, if you're still on that level, I mean, whatever, it's quite a good. It's quite a good series, really. Grim, but apt in many ways, you know. Where they are herded, all the handmaids are herded, and this is to force compliance, obviously, right? Herded into this square, and there's a great big scaffold with about 12 nooses hanging down. And there's this guy in a black outfit pulls his lever and it goes click really loud, and all these nooses come down, and they're forced to step forward and put the noose around their neck. And the protagonist, the hero of the piece, is there saying, seriously? What the actual fuck? And that is pretty much how I feel right now. That scene, that's pretty much how I feel right now. And I'm not talking about it in terms of fatality or feeling that. No, it isn't that so much, but it's the when we're living, as it were, in the story of the wheat and the tares, and they are, yeah, because dark and light function a certain way when they exist in the same space. The dark will do anything to make you think that the light does not exist, which is exactly what it's done for a lot of us. So our childhood was devoid of love, safety, protection, care, encouragement, support, whatnot. You know, nurturing. That it wasn't there at all. It was the opposite. We were raised by the hell contagion. We were made to hate ourselves, so that evil could use our magic, our power, to create shit. Really, I think that's really what it is. And I'm sorry, I lost my track a bit there, but fuck. Consciousness, the consciousness of love. How does it exist in this space, right? When there's so much evil. I mean, it exists in this story that I know about this guy who found this. He's a truck driver, and he found this little kitten that had been abandoned by the side of the road, and he adopts this kitten, and this kitten has now his best friend, and they travel as he, you know, picks up his cargo and travels across America and Canada, and the cat's always with him, and the cat's a beautiful, happy, healthy cat. Or yeah, love functions in a certain type of it becomes something, it how can I say, it develops itself. Yeah, love develops qualities that it would not need to develop when there is no evil to coexist with. So we have compassion, we have patience, we have integrity and courage, we have strength and resilience, we have innovation, and there's so much more to it. But I'm not going to hand it to you on a platter, you know, do your fucking work. It's the hell contagion will tell you that there is no love, and that love is weak, or that love is evil pretending to be love and whatnot, but this is not true. We are love. it's been sorely tested. Because it is about trauma-based mind control. But make no mistake, on the external plane they've done everything to keep us in a trauma-based mind-controlled fugue state where there is no love of any kind. And you look at it. Have you looked around lately? Observe. This world in the last 5 years has literally disintegrated. I mean, everything is black and white and grey. Carbon. I think carbon is grey. My friend picked me up because he had to go and pick up some gardening equipment, and he said, let's go for a drive, do you want to get out? I was like, yeah, go on then. So we got in the car and it was early, and there was the mist, it was everywhere, but that's sort of norm for this time of year. But it was like a journey through the bowels of hell. We got lost, and then the road just went on and on and on and on. It just wasn't going to end. It was like, what the actual fuck is going on here? Then we began to see all these, we saw a dead badger. We saw all kinds of horrible, evil nastiness, and it was weird. There were no people anywhere. Anywhere. You know, I got back home eventually, but that was last week Saturday, and that's kind of where it all began to get really nasty. It was like a preview, you know what I mean? Oh boy. It's gone really deep. It burgeoned. That's where it began to burgeon, you know, come up. But I was given the innate, intrinsic understanding of the difference between the two consciousnesses, right? The two operating systems. Evil does not have any life force. If you observe nature, it will keep coming back. It will, evil kill, but we come back. It kills, but we come back. It's irrepressible. Soul's energy, life force cannot be destroyed. Can't be destroyed at all. And that's why evil's so angry. It's so filled with envy, you see. It's like how they talk about these dead NPC scientists. You know, they trust the science, you know. It's a bit like watching an episode of Pinky and the Brain. Have you ever watched that? It's Pinky and the Brain, it's Pinky and the Brain. It's brilliant. It's a bit like that, because the science is that's not science, that's ludicrous. It's like the Big Bang. Well, there was absolutely nothing, and then there was this massive explosion, and then there were all these round balls floating about. Yeah, that's what happened, for sure, true. Trust the science. They do not understand synchronicity. You get somebody like Carl Jung, and he had an inkling, and he understood about meaning, synchronicity. You have to be a living, awakening soul, and then you know that you are that life force. It is what you really are. You are magical, miraculous flow. Yes, massively impeded by this malevolent presence, for sure. That creates a malevolent presence on the external that attacks you from the external, that latches onto the internal malevolent presence and brings it up, and thus you purge it out. And that is why I feel evil can never win. It's a healing covenant. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Alright. But meaningfulness, an intrinsic knowing of aliveness, of a guidance, a guiding that comes from within, that is around you and within you. It is, you either know it or you don't. If you're dead, you won't know. You'll scoff at that, deny it. You will So, well, that doesn't really mean anything. The only reason that happens is because blah, blah, blah. And it's just empty. It's empty. And all they have, and this is why these creatures, the red-eyed demons, love money. This is why they have 6 mansions and Tesla cars, okay? They have this because they have nothing else. But when you're a soul traveler, you already know that none of that means a fucking thing. Because when you remember the crystalline light, when you remember, albeit vaguely, but you remember beauty, belonging, love and joy and infinite harmonies, creativity, right? Then you know that compassion and wisdom are far more important than a Tesla car. And I'd much rather have compassion and wisdom any day. See, this is another thing, wisdom. Wisdom is the essence of meaningfulness. How you have lived this nightmare and how you've awoken within this dream, this nightmare, this dream, and become more and more and more self-aware, self-conscious. How you are able to shift out of this insanity into sanity. How you are able to disentangle yourself from the slavery of codependency, right? And self-hatred. More and more self-love. Yeah, there's still that polarity. There is that self-hate and self-attack, but you see it because you're there looking in and you see and you know and understand exactly what is going on there. And you're able to love yourself, to heal through it. This is important stuff, guys. This is big and this is powerful. You see, you develop your spirit eyes, and that is so big, and that is worth a million. No, it said that is everything. Consciousness is everything. Consciousness and love. Even at the very end of it all, it's all the difference between self-hate and self-love, and that is what I feel, and I will always choose love. It's tough, it's so hard. In the last week, wow, the last 3 weeks have been really dark anyway, but the last week just wow. And the weird insanity, especially that sky thing I was talking about, come on guys, that proves this ain't real. These sinkholes everywhere, right? And the landslides, stuff and nonsense. Do you remember that expression, stuff and nonsense? Well, you have so much stuff. I have 6 mansions, but they've all just fallen into sinkholes. Ooh. Right? Stuff. We've been through a hell of a lot. There's no denying that. Some of us more than others, right? Some of you think you've been through a lot, but you haven't really. You don't know what you don't know, and you until you've experienced. There is a nasty little. It's where you normalise suffering. Everybody does, you know. It just gets harder and harder, and you just normalise because otherwise you can't cope, right? This is why a lot of people will awaken to the external. Because I had this conversation with someone recently, and they're awake to, oh, the chemtrail, oh yeah, and this and that, and who and are. But it has not occurred to them that having lived in this toxic matrix will have affected your consciousness. You might want to introspect and question what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're doing, and so forth and so on. Because I think they know that if they start doing that, they won't be able to really function. It's not for everyone, I don't feel, and that's alright, you know. Compassionate neutrality, This really strong urge it is now. It's like, react, I want you to react. It said to me the other day, this thing came up, this voice in my head. Be afraid. You need to be afraid. Fear is safe. Fear is safe. There's this X-Files episode where Scully takes a weekend holiday and she ends up in this fishing village. Somewhere in Maine, I think. And there's this widow who has this malevolent little girl who has this doll that the woman found and gave to the malevolent little girl, who already was a malevolent little monster, you can tell. And this doll's evil, it's possessed, right? And it talks, let's have fun, and then it plays the, what's that? The hokey cokey, right? You know, the hokey cokey, yeah? Which is what it's all about, because that's a mind control song, isn't it? It's a bit like Catcher in the Rye is the mind control book. Well, the hokey cokey is a fucking mind control song. And this doll just wants the girl to play the hokey cokey all day, every day, and let's have fucking fun. And that is the sort of voice that I hear sometimes. And I hear the sound of demonic voices and whatnot. Rusty, horrible voices. There's a shitload of nastiness going on, and it's all coming up and 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 coming up, and it's a tidal wave of filth. Because it can't stay there, right? It cannot stay there. It's got to be dislodged. Compassionate neutrality. Do not feed the beast. This I will give you as a little bit of Anika's advice, which is entirely up to you what you do with it, because hey, we're all different, we all do our own thing, and for some of you it might be a good thing to be really reactive right now. I went through a phase of extreme reactivity, and I was literally there hating everything and everyone, and I still get like that sometimes. It's par for the course, because you ain't gonna love it, that's a fact. But it's a sickness. You see, and I choose not to hate those who are sick, even if it manifests as extreme horribleness and nastiness, because it's not their fault, they're sick. You see, and I have compassion for that. Forgiveness is also, and I wanted to make this clear because people just do not get forgiveness. Forgiveness is not, well, I'll forgive you if you promise not to do it again, because most of them can't help themselves and they will do it again. Forgiveness is in saying, I see that, it's beyond my control, I turn around, walk away, and I surrender that. I see that you are sick, and so it really isn't your fault. Because you know it isn't, you see, because ask yourself, did you awaken yourself, or was it your true self, something, a higher consciousness that said, clink, yeah? Not higher as in better, not higher as in hierarchical, but a part of you that, as it were, is untainted by the hell contagion. Yeah? And if you have the wisdom and the compassion, then you can see that it is a sickness and you have compassion for that, but you have enough wisdom to stay neutral, to stay out of it, because it is the hell contagion reinfection agent, and you've got to be careful with that shit. Forgiveness is a protective, powerful medicine. It's not about tolerance of evil filth, not at all. It's about seeing, hearing, feeling and knowing, and relinquishing your disentanglement. It's to say, I'm not going to feed the beast with hatred and rancor, and whatever emotions I feel as a result of this altercation, I'm going to work through it, and it will become a healing covenant. I will heal and feel and heal and work through it and flow through it. And it's really tough, but I choose to do that of my own free will, because that is the consciousness of love, and that is what forgiveness is all about. It's self-empowering. It's a healing covenant. That's it. I did a video years ago that was taken down by the powers that be, because I talked about a certain psyop and they took it down. But it was called Disentanglement Leads to Mojo Rising. And that was a fucking good video, actually. And that was nearly 5 years ago, I reckon. That was a good video, and I believe this with all my being. I believe that compassionate neutrality is the way. There's so much stuff out there. Films, books, TV series, people, places, activities, even stuff you might buy, whatever. Tesla cars, that is inherently wrong. Like you know, it's like a game show. It's like, wrong answer. It's like that. And your intuition, your guidance system, which is the consciousness of love, will guide you. It will you'll feel revolted by it. It's like, okay, don't want to know, don't want to know, don't want to know. It was like yesterday, all these old programs came up. It wanted me to be codependent. So I was on Facebook. It kept wanting me to click on Facebook. And I think I did it throughout the day about 10 times. And I didn't want to do it, but it was like, because we're addicts. You see, we are addicts. We're addicts to dissociate. You know, we are dissociation. Distraction addicts. I need to dissociate because I feel like shit. I don't want to do this, but you do it anyway, right? You are, and don't beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up. You're doing really, really well. You all are. I am. We love ourselves, right? Remember that. But there's this. It's just there's all these different groups. Do you want to join? Right? And there was old cats, and I have a thing for cats, as you know, and I joined up, and then it was like, all of a sudden I was hooked. And it was all very codependent, because there were all these people that lost their cats. And then it was all the sort of despair, grief. And then it was like, oh, you better leave a message here, you better leave a message here, you replied, oh, and the next thing you know, I was on the hook, and it was like, whoa, what the fuck? Stop. Stop feeding the beast. It's that whole wounded healer business where, oh, I can't heal myself and I'm a complete fucking mess, but I'm gonna try and heal everybody else. Like, what the fuck? Seriously? Don't fall for that bullshit, guys. This is where it's at, and you will serve the greater good by focusing on your own healing and by practicing compassionate neutrality. Disentanglement leads to mojo rising, you know it. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day there. All my love to all of you, and, well, you know, ride the snake, that sort of shit. Oh, that sounds bollocks, doesn't it? It's like, we just had this Jim Morrison moment. I don't know what that's about. All my love to all of you. Bless you.